You all saw it, the host said, his voice trembling slightly as he gestured to the massive screen behind him. That moment, live on camera, that changed everything. How did the most powerful CEO in the city not recognize the man she mocked every single day? This isn't just about wealth or revenge, it's about the identity we wear, and the kindness we choose to show. Stay with me, because the full, shocking story starts right now. Please, if you're finding this even a little intriguing, do us a huge favor, hit that like button. It helps more than you know, and it lets us keep bringing you stories like this. And consider subscribing to True Kindness Tales for weekly stories that reveal the heart behind the mask. Avalon Technologies' annual Innovation Gala was a symphony of arrogance. The hangar-sized event space, usually a sterile test floor for drones and prototypes, was transformed into a temple of wealth. Crystal glasses clinked with champagne that cost more than most guests' monthly rent, and the air hummed with deals murmured over caviar. At the epicenter of it all was Alara Vance, the company's CEO. At 34, she was a legend carved from ambition and silicon. Her dress was a blade of obsidian silk, her smile a calculated weapon. She had built Avalon from a garage startup into a titan, and she believed in hierarchies as firmly as she believed in code. Her latest obsession, the Avalon X1, a revolutionary VTOL personal aircraft, essentially a sleek, futuristic helicopter, stood on a rotating dais like a metallic god. It was the evening star, a testament to her genius. As she held court, her eyes, sharp as diamonds, swept the room and landed on a familiar, frustratingly out-of-place figure. Leo, the janitor. He was pushing a quiet cart along the periphery, his head down, dressed in simple navy workwear, a faint smear of grease on his cheek. He was a ghost in the machine of her perfect world, a smudge on the lens of her success. Something about him irked her today. Perhaps it was the way he occasionally glanced at the X1, not with awe, but with a quiet, assessing look. As if he had an opinion. A group of investors chuckled at one of her boasts. Seizing the moment to amplify her dominance, Alara's voice cut through the murmur. Leo, she called, her tone sweetly venomous. The room's attention swiveled. Leo stopped, his posture patient. Yes, Ms. Vance. She gestured flamboyantly at the multi-million-dollar prototype. You seem so fascinated by my helicopter. Tell me, does it remind you of the ones you cleaned in the military? She infused the word cleaned with playful doubt, eliciting a wave of polite laughter from her sycophants. Leo had once mentioned, briefly, serving as a mechanic. He met her gaze, his own a calm, unreadable gray. I've been around a few airframes, ma'am. Of course you have, she purred, walking towards him, the crowd parting. The spectacle was too delicious to resist. Tell you what, this is an evening about breaking barriers. Why don't you come up here? Give us all a thrill. The investors grinned, smelling blood sport. Ms. Vance, I don't think that's nonsense, she declared, her voice echoing. She leaned in, close enough for only him to hear, her mockery a razor wrapped in silk. Let's make it interesting. Fly this helicopter, just a simple hover, and I'll marry you. The crowd erupted in full laughter now. It was the most absurd, cruelest wager imaginable, a queen jesting with a pawn. Go on, impress us. The silence that followed was profound. Leo's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. He looked from her triumphant face to the gleaming machine. The humiliation was absolute, a public etching of her disdain. He simply gave a small, tight nod, and said, your joke is noted. Ma'am. He turned and pushed his cart away, disappearing through a service door, the echo of laughter following him like a shadow. Alara felt a flash of something cold, not guilt, but the unease of a gambler who has suddenly, irrationally, doubted the fixed game. She shoved it down, raising her glass to another roar of applause. The lioness had put the mouse in its place. The show was over, or so she thought. We're just getting started, and the twists are coming. If you're enjoying this journey into hidden identities, please show your support with a like. It fuels our channel, and don't forget to subscribe to True Kindness Tales. You won't want to miss what happens next. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of dramatic irony. The following week, Alara was scheduled for the most important demonstration of her career, a live, cross-country flight of the X1 for a consortium of Japanese investors who demanded proof of its all-weather capabilities. The destination was a remote logistics hub in the next state. The forecast had been clear. The forecast was wrong. Mid-flight, the sky turned the color of bruised steel. Icy rain, then thick, swirling snow lashed the cockpit windows. The X-1 systems, stressed by unforeseen wind shear, began a terrifying chorus of alarms. Alara, a competent pilot but not a combat-hardened one, felt a primal fear seize her. The controls fought her, the engine spluttered. With a final, sickening lurch, the aircraft lost power and plunged into a controlled but brutal descent into a dense, snow-blanketed forest. The impact was a deafening crunch of composite metal and snapping pine. Silence, heavy and cold, descended. Alara was alive, strapped in her seat, a sharp pain in her ribs. The cockpit was crumpled, the windshield a spiderweb of cracks. Beyond it, only a wall of white. Her satellite phone was dead. The emergency beacon's light blinked feebly, swallowed by the storm. She was utterly, terrifyingly alone. Hours bled together. The cold seeped in, a patient thief. She tried to move, to gather supplies, but the pain was too great. Despair, colder than the snow, began to whisper. This was her creation, her tomb. Her mind replayed the gala, the laughter, Leo's silent, stoic face. Her mockery echoed in the silence, a pathetic epitaph. Just as the shadows began to lengthen and the cold threatened to pull her into sleep, a sound cut through the wind. Not the whump of a rescue chopper, but a deeper, more powerful, and strangely familiar rotor thump. It grew louder, a relentless heartbeat in the sky. Through the fractured windshield, she saw a shape, dark, agile, and utterly unlike any civilian rescue craft, descend through the blizzard with impossible precision. It landed in a small clearing 50 yards away, its downdraft sending up a plume of snow. The side door slid open. A figure, clad in a tactical flight suit, helmeted, jumped out and moved with lethal grace towards the wreckage. He had a medical kit and a rescue harness. When he reached the cockpit and pried the damaged door open, he removed his helmet. Alara's world stopped. It was Leo, but it wasn't. The quiet, downturned eyes were now beams of fierce, assessing intensity. The gentle slope of his shoulders was replaced by the coiled, ready stance of a predator. Grease was replaced by grim determination. Don't try to speak, he said, his voice not the soft murmur from the office, but a command that brooked no argument. His hands were expert, checking her vitals, stabilizing her neck with a professionalism that spoke of brutal training. I'm getting you out. Leo. How? What is this? She stammered, shock overriding pain. Later. In minutes, he had her extracted and secured in the rescue harness. His aircraft was a revelation, a matte black, unmarked helicopter with lines she'd only seen in classified briefs, a next-generation stealth utility aircraft, years ahead of her X-1. As he lifted them into the raging storm, his piloting was not just skilled, it was transcendent. He navigated the maelstrom as if he could see through it, his movements on the controls fluid, instinctive. In the relative warmth of the cabin, watching his focused profile illuminated by the glow of advanced avionics, Alara's entire reality fractured. The janitor who pushed a mop was a phantom. This man, this pilot who had come for her when all others would have turned back, was a sovereign in the sky. The man she had mocked was now her savior, and she had no idea who he truly was. They didn't go to a hospital. Leo set the stealth helicopter down on the expansive, snow-dusted lawn of a severe, modernist estate overlooking the city, a property Alara recognized as the legendary, rarely seen, Airy, owned by a reclusive billionaire technologist. He carried her inside, not to a med bay, but to a sprawling living room where a fire already roared. A discreet private medical team, which he summoned with a word, checked her and confirmed her injuries were minor. They left as silently as they came. Alara sat wrapped in a blanket, staring at Leo, who stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows, his silhouette against the stormy night. The flight suit was gone, replaced with simple dark trousers and a sweater. Yet the transformation was irreversible. He was no longer an employee. He was the master of this domain. Who are you? The question was a breath. He turned, his gaze still calm, but now that calm felt like the deep, still center of a hurricane. My name is Leonidas Thorne, he said. The name hit her like a physical blow. Thorne. The Thorne Foundation was a mythical entity in tech circles, a silent partner in breakthroughs across aerospace, medicine, and AI. They didn't seek fame, they sought evolution. My family founded Avalon Technologies, he continued. We remain the majority, silent shareholders. I've been on the board, under a proxy, since you took the company public. Alara felt the room tilt. The board, you've seen all my reports, you voted. Every one. You're a brilliant CEO, Alara. Ruthless, visionary. You build magnificent things. He paused, and the ghost of her mockery hung between them. But my grandfather believed true leadership required understanding every layer of the empire, not just the penthouse. A thorn doesn't inherit, they earn. I've done stints on the assembly line, in logistics, in R&D. This last year, custodial services. To listen, to see how the machine truly runs, and more importantly, to see the people who oil its gears. Shame, hot and corrosive, flooded her. Her cruel joke, her public disdain, it hadn't been aimed at a powerless janitor. It had been aimed at her principal owner, at a man whose philosophy of leadership made her look like a shallow tyrant playing at queen. The helicopter, she whispered. A Thorn Foundation prototype, he said. We've been 3 years ahead of your X1 project. I was the lead test pilot. I knew its flaw, the coolant intake vulnerability in extreme, mixed-phase precipitation. I tried to file a concern through the anonymous employee safety channel. It was marked, reviewed. She remembered the report. She had dismissed it. You came for me, she said, the statement a question, a plea for understanding. He walked closer, kneeling before her so their eyes were level. There was no triumph in his, no gloating. Only a profound, unsettling kindness. I came for my CEO, he said. The one who builds magnificent, if flawed, things. The mockery at the gala was a test, Alara. Not for me, but for you. You failed it spectacularly. He saw her flinch and continued, his voice softer. But being lost in a storm, facing the consequences of your choices, that's a test, too. How we treat those we perceive as beneath us defines us far more than how we treat our equals. He stood, offering a hand. The marriage line was a joke. But my commitment to this company, and to ensuring its leader understood